We are recording on Zoom. Great. Awesome. So, hello, Madison. How are we today?
Hey, Michael. I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. So, Madison is an actor, writer, producer. Madison sort of does it all when it comes to theatre and film. She's one of our members on the Writers Roundtable, our weekly meetups. She's working on some really cool scripts at the moment. And we're just going to have a little bit of a talk today just to introduce Madison, get to know the wonderful person that you are, Madison. I love you, you know.
I love you too, Michael.
All right. So we'll start with the same as we've been starting with everyone on these things, just burn our pivots sort of inside the actors studio questions, just a sort of quick fire, and then we'll go on into some more sort of more in-depth topics with you. And we are likely to go off on tangents, and that will be absolutely fine. There might be some questions you didn't expect, but I
I love it.
promise to go nice. All right. So, Madison, what is your favorite word?
Um. Okay, so this is a hard one. I think it's actually the word transcendental.
Okay.
Um. Yeah, I feel like the process of actually transcending something and like going on an ethereal trip, like something close to religion. Like holiness, like all of those concepts, like they're so broad, but like we all have such a powerful connection to them. And I feel like that, like, those end up being my favorite words. There's so much wiggle room and so much like that we have to answer for those words.
It's a beautiful word. It is a beautiful word, and I like it. I like what you're saying about, it sort of covers a lot of areas, but sort of heads towards the same goal, and I think that that's a big goal, for a lot of us.
Yeah.
That's cool. Good word, Madison. Okay, so least favorite word.
Thank you. Okay, another hard one. I have such a hard time with this. Like the I feel like I can usually answer like what's my favorite of something, but answering like what's my least favorite is like nearly impossible. I feel like I hate what we've done with the word awesome. Like I like that it used to be like awe-inspiring. Um, but now it's like a little bit more like it automatically has like a positive connotation as opposed to like it used to be really. I keep hearing my reverb. It like it used to be something that like could have been bad. It could have been like it was such a huge word. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, and it's funny. It's funny you say that. I had a conversation with someone the other day, and I think they described something, or I described something as awesome, and they were like, so you didn't like, it then, and I was like, no,
Yeah.
I'm saying it as a British awesome, which as a British awesome, it's a pretty, like, that's a pretty high word, you know what I mean? That's a big compliment.
Yeah.
But if it was an American awesome, you're right. It does sort of, saying something good sort of puts it a level above it being awesome because it's such a commonly used word. And I believe in the power of words. I believe that you can't just, use it. It has to carry its weight. And yeah, I feel you on that.
We can't minimize words.
Yeah, and awesome is thrown around very easily over there. I noticed during my time there. Yeah. It's an interesting one. How much do you think you've added to that, Madison? Do you use it a lot? Have you tried to use it
I
much?
do say it a lot. It's so funny how many filler words we get. Like I think that's like if I hate any word, it's like when we have a filler word. You know what I mean? Like we could let it be bigger, but like because we need something to just throw in, we'll be like, okay, let's just say like great, awesome, cool, fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wish we all had the time to really like sit down and be like, okay, this is the word that right now. You know what I mean?
Word exactly describes how I feel exactly right now.
Give me 5 minutes.
Give me 5 minutes. Let me write down some options for you. I feel you. I feel awesome has been diluted a little bit. It has. Yeah. We'll have to reserve it. We'll have to put it on the back burner for a while. Give it its power.
I feel like it's almost impossible to preserve that word because now we like it used to be so like the god like Thor has thrown down lightning bolts. How awesome! Like you know what I mean? But like I feel like we can't like it doesn't have the same like inspiring of awe connotation. I don't know if we can.
I used to say okay cool, and then I moved to LA and everything was awesome, sounds good, awesome, great, sounds good.
Yeah, we have so many words for it.
Okay, cool, nice. All right, so what turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally, or all of them?
So I feel like my artistic mission statement for a while has been like to be defiant of like what we believe like stereotypes and all of those types of things. And then like what activates me, what turns me on as an artist and like in all of those ways, I feel like it's like really paying attention to like minute details. It's like what is that little like it's usually like the way the hand like Pride and Prejudice, like their hands touched for just a mere moment, like those little things that like such a small movement can like change so much or add so many levels. Like it's like very, very small little things that like you're lucky enough to catch. I feel like that's like really what activates me. It's like wow, you can take that so much further. Like whoa, you can do so much with that, and then like I get so excited about it.
And it's interesting how I end up watching a lot of things and I'm like, did they mean that? You know, do they know what they did with that, with all of its meanings that it has on, you know, all of its little intricate details? It sort of, it's like taking things to the next level, you know, it's like blowing out, because I think, you know, any good script writer, they sit there and they think, okay, I'm going to throw this. Actually, I think that's pretty much what won. Well, not just that, it was a great script, but Jordan Peele won Get Out. And if you look through that script, there's so many little things he put in there to show, you know, all the way that those characters are and the things they think and all these little details. It's like amazing. You know, you really can do a lot with a script. I like that, intricate details. That is a big turn on. I just realized how turned on I am by intricate detail.
It is. It's so funny. You can get so, because it's like, and that's like kind of it with everything. Like it's like in every sense it turns you on, you know, like it's like that can turn you on as a human being, that can turn you on romantically, that can turn you on, like it's always the tiny things, it's always the small details, because like you get so excited. I feel like we miss so much, and so to catch something small we get so excited because we're like, oh wait, I caught something, I caught it. And I think that excites everyone.
I agree. I like that. That's a good one. And what turns you off?
Oh God. I think it's like, it's so funny because like I think like arrogance, like when we start to be like, no, I don't need to listen to that, like when our egos take over, like that's so like, and we all get defensive, like but like I feel like when we start to be like, no, like listen to me, sometimes like there's that crossover to like, I know better. And I think it's really funny because I've been talking a lot. My roommate has been obsessed with The Room right now, and we were talking about Tommy Wiseau and like did he have undeserving confidence, or like or whatever, like whatever that is, but like I don't think that there is such a thing as like undeserving confidence. Like confidence is always something that like you can't go too far with. But I think when it becomes arrogance like that, that's where it goes too far.
Yeah, I agree. It was
so
actually my
separate.
exact same answer to that question. Ego. I think like you put it perfectly. You know, it's about fresh perspectives, and when someone starts saying no, 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 I know better, they're losing the fact that they could gain so much from someone else. And I think that's where the hierarchy in you know, in the, because it's a collaborative art, but that's why it's good to respect your director as an actor, and for directors to respect their actors when it comes to their character decisions, because that's really important, because setting those boundaries then allow you to work without so much of that ego.
Mm-hmm. There's a in the Viewpoints book, it's like incredible, but there's like this whole page where she basically like she starts and she's like, this book is to help actors and directors like really zero in and like stop the like parental relationship of like, am I doing this right, am I doing this right, like what do you want, and just start being like, okay, what does the script want, what can we find within this piece of text that like what is it demanding of us, and like what can we use with it, as opposed to like love me please please love what I do.
Yeah, I think we're all guilty of that at times.
Oh yeah.
All right. So Madison, favorite curse word?
Okay. Of course fuck, like the universal fuck, like that's like top tier, like it's number one. I was just watching RuPaul's Drag Race UK, and one of them walked in and they were like, I'm the best slag out there. That's the best word I've ever heard. I've been dying over that for the last week. I'm the best slag you've ever got.
I love that.
I have to say British.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, the slag and slut. They're two very funny words, because when someone calls someone a slag or a slut, if it's in a menacing way, that's a real, you said something really horrible to someone. But then you get friends calling each other, oh my God, you're such a slut. And I know, and it's great. They love it. It's like that.
It's so funny because it's like reclamation, you know, like it's like we like it, and again it is kind of ego, like when we say anything to tear someone else down, we're like no. But then if we can be like, oh yeah, this is me, this is who I am, you know what I mean, like it's like it's kind of the same thing with like the word cunt, you know, like you hate the word when it's thrown out at you, but if you're like you know, like that's such a powerful word as well. Yeah, I don't know. It's so funny.
It reminds your reasoning for why you love Crocs so much. because if you can rock something that is considered so lame and do it with style, you've jumped beyond cool.
Yeah, truly. It's like it's so funny because like we can like spend so much time being like, no, like seriously, like just listen to me. But like the second that we're like, I fully believe this and no one will ever take this away from me, it becomes so powerful. And so it's like that's why I love Crocs, because it's like it's so lame that like if you're like it is sexy, people are like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But then if you can just be like, no, I stand by that.
There's nothing sexier than confidence. It becomes so powerful. There's nothing sexier than confidence. If you rock anything with confidence,
it's such a and it's such a practice too, because like you can't just like decide that you're confident for the rest of your life. Like you have to just like continue to be like, this is a choice that I'm making and this is how I'm gonna be, and like
own it and stand by it. Yeah, it's true. All right, so what sound or noise do you love?
That's hard. Sound of my cat.
June, you have a nice gift. Your cat's so cute.
Yeah, I love my cat.
Yeah, I love my cat. She curls up on my arm every night. That's a big one.
I feel like there's so many
I feel like there's
amazing
so many amazing sounds.
laughter.
Like laughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sounds you hate?
I mean, an obvious one is like screams of
Oh, yeah.
pain. Like, you know, like I honestly hear a lot of screaming from like living in downtown LA half the time. That's awful.
Yeah.
Sirens, like I mean, I guess anything with like a
basically basically downtown
connotation
LA then. You hate the sound of downtown LA.
But I also like will hear it and I'll be like, wow, I'm in the city.
Yeah, you do get that in downtown. It's like this, you really do feel life right underneath you. And I think that's the cool thing about living above and also living with those buildings that contain that sound. It just all rises up. Sometimes it's horrific. You're right. Like sometimes you hear some horrible screaming and sirens tearing and it sounds, then sometimes you'll just hear someone like riding down the street with their boombox and people singing along on the side to it, and you can just, you don't have to see it, but you can imagine exactly the life that's happening all around you. It's a cool place.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I hear conversations happening outside my window, and I can like listen in to like this blip, and like literally nothing excites me more because I'm like, wow, I just heard someone's opinion on Oprah. You know, like it's like wow, I didn't ask for this, but I love it.
That's so cool. That's so. And rumor has it, and I might be giving away a trade secret here, so people might get annoyed. But rumor has it, in downtown LA, depending on what music they're playing, depends on what kind of product they may be selling on the street. So if you hear a certain music, then you know that the guys out there have a certain product to sell.
I don't.
Don't. There's people watching.
Okay,
as I explained, my mom signs in and watches. Let's avoid that.
Oh my gosh, I've never.
You're gonna be guessing
before.
It now.
I'm gonna text you after the show and ask you for more
All right,
details on that.
moving swiftly on. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Okay, that one. I feel like I could just say everything. Like it's like, I think it'd be so cool to be a lawyer. I feel like it'd be so cool to like I was more musically inclined. Like I would love to be a dancer. I'd love to like be able to do all of that. I would love to like volunteer across the world. Like I think that would be so cool.
Do you think that passion for trying different things is what led you towards acting?
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Like I feel like
absolutely.
It's
like I feel like it's like,
especially because like
I'm a Gemini, I get so scattered. So I'm like, I want to learn everything. And so when I have like one part, I can be like, okay, I'm doing something important by zeroing in on like this person's life, like what they like to do. And so it's like, then I can explore 50 avenues while also like remaining, like I'm living a different life for a moment, you know, for a couple of months. And like, that's like the cream of the crop.
Try and make things, I agree. Is there one that you would not like to do? A particular profession, like, no way?
So I feel like I couldn't handle being a doctor. You know, like I think like that's like so much training, so much like of all that, so much training. Like you are like such a hero, but like I don't know if I could handle like the pressure of all of that. And I also think like the cleaning service industry, like they're so like that is like that's like I feel like one of the biggest like downfalls of like our capitalist society is like this is like one of the most important jobs, and it's so looked over, and like it's so like I feel like that's such a hard job to do too. Those two probably.
I hear you. All right, and then final question on these inside the actor studio ones. if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I'd like to hear,
Good job.
good job, you did it.
Thank you for
Thank you for
working so hard.
working so hard.
You didn't fall.
You didn't fall, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much
Okay, so like, of course we have all these questions of God. And like, whether or not you like believe in temptation, like there's definitely like good and bad, you know, like there's good and positive things that you can do. And I feel like it's so easy to like, we get so hurt in this world. And I feel like it's so easy to like be able to justify your hurt and like hurting back. And like, I would hope that I could like arrive there and hear like, okay, you did fall in temptation. You
kept trying to be good.
kept
You
trying
know,
to be
you
good.
kept like,
You know,
and
you kept
you
like, and you were.
And like you did help and you did heal.
And like you did help and you did heal.
You did
and,
what
like,
you needed to do.
you did what you needed to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's an interesting one, isn't it? It's like if God said it to us, we believe it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but we question ourselves a lot with those kind of things as we go through life. We're like, am I doing it? And you know, and then you feel like one day off of doing it may define your whole life, and it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Well, it's also like our perspectives are
so
one track. You know,
like it's like you think that you're doing a good thing, but like you can look back and you can be like, wait, how did that affect somebody else? Like, and like it's like in that moment, like you really are trying to be good, but like sometimes it's like you turn around and you're like, whoa, maybe like that hurt somebody in a way that like I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like we really truly never know because like it's impossible to communicate all those things.
True.
And so it's like
good intention
as much as you can. And it's also like if you're as artists, like if you're trying to like create something and trying to like have a platform and trying to like make
the world better, like what you have to say, like it's like
the world better if like what you have to say, like it's like
what are you saying? Like really
then it becomes so dependent on like the effect of like your actions and your words have. Like the debate of like kind of separate the art from the artist, I don't think we can. And so it's like I think it becomes like what are your actions really saying? And like what are you doing?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's something that my brother always tried to instill in me. Was he was like, you know, never take that little frustration out on that person, or he always just say it's like he said, you know, when you're driving your car, right, it's so easy to just beep at someone who is frustrated, but that one beep could scare that person, send them into a crash. It could add that extra layer of frustration that makes them go off and do something really terrible. He's like, and then you go back to the cause of it, and it was your beep that was just a mindless beep did that. And it's like, you know, you're right. We really don't know the full effect of what we do and how far that ripple effect can go. But what we can do is always try and do what we think is right and do what is best. And like you said, it would just be nice to have that confirmation at the end of it all saying, hey, you did do that and you were good and the things that you had the right track and you followed it, and well done for doing that. But you ain't got nothing to fit, Madison. You got hard gold. You know you got hard gold. Yeah.
Oh, I love you, Michael. Magic Mike.
So moving on to you, your background, your history with the arts. Where did it all start for you?
In third grade. I did it in like there's like an after school like improv thing, and there's been multiple times where like I've been like, okay, so maybe this isn't for me, and then like I will like remember like I step away for a second, and then I get so like angsty, and I'm like, what do I do with my energy? Like, what am I supposed to do? And then like I remember like, wow, no, that was like I really needed to be like acting during this time, and like I really needed to be connected to it. So I've never really been able to quit it.
Mm. And then you went on, as I know very well, you went on to Stella Adler to train. Was that the first time formally training, or did you sort of do it consistently throughout school, or how did that journey happen?
I did it consistently in like high school and community college, and then Adler was like hardcore, intensive, like this is our lives, eat, breathe, sleep, everything. And I'm so grateful for that, because it's like that's how you continue to like, it is a hard practice, and learning like the methods of like this is how you exist and like continue to live and like see the world as know that like you're like have the tools and like how to do it.
Yeah, and then from there you went on to do many theatre shows. Chekhov in the Park, which was pretty intense and pretty interesting. That was pretty full on, because you were there like, you know, every day leading up to that show. And then how many shows did you do in a week typically with that?
We would do like 3 shows a week. It was intense, because it was a 4-woman show of all of the Chekhov comedies. And then I was actually a replacement, so I came in a month late.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I came in the day they were supposed to be off book, and I had like a 2-page monologue from The Unwilling Martyr. And then on top of it, we every single time we would like set up the park and then we would take it down. So it was like very much like it was very intensive. Like you're helping with children affected by cancer. You're helping, like you're going to schools and you're like performing these things, help like educate schools that have like oh, I'm like flipping the camera. That have like arts programs and stuff, that don't have arts programs. It was really a great theater department. It's Dean Productions Theater.
Shout out to Dean Productions Theater. No, and honestly, when I came to see it, you would not have thought that in any way you had less time than everyone else out there. You were on the money with everything, lines down, and were able to not let that affect your performance. You know, you were right there living it without the worry of those lines. Because I remember you told me that going to see it, and I remember thinking that afterwards, like, wow, what an incredible job to get down those lines. Do you feel like that's something that you've always been good at, or do you feel like coming off the back of the intensive training that sort of had you in a good set? How do you feel that sort of balance?
I mean, I don't think I've ever really had like many problems with lines. But definitely like when we went to get like a script in AOA and have to like put it up in a couple of days, like that definitely like gave me the tools to be like, okay, so I know I have to have lines down, memorized perfect the day before. Dana's punctuation walks are like my end all be all for like how do I survive like memorizing things. Like I think physicalizing that like gets it in your bones. I think my biggest one is like I need to like remember to take the page away. Like I'll like sit there and read it 50 times, so I have to remember like just set it down.
Yeah, I think one of the things classical training gives you is like a gauge on what you need to be able to get it done, you know, and sort of the time you need to set. And like you said, you learn those things. You learn things like, okay, after a certain amount of time, the script is not going to help me anymore. I can put it aside now. And you sort of, it's a lot of classical training to me is a lot of getting to know how you work as an actor yourself more than it is. I mean, you learn a lot of techniques, of course, but it doesn't all of a sudden make you amazing at remembering lines. It just gives you that process to do that.
Yeah, knowing like what your, like every aspect of your process too, because it gives you so many tools and it gives you so many like, okay, whenever I feel lost, like I will remember, oh yeah, my first semester they had us write down every single piece of information that we could possibly find, or like exercise, or what's kinesthetic about this, and like all of those things. I think it's like such a good framework to fall back on. That it's like, and that's what Stella said even. She was like, I'm not always like a brilliant actor, but like, I'm probably butchering this, but like, she was like, I do the work so that I'm always a good actor.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's really like really what it is.
Yeah. That was one of the biggest lessons I learned, was that you can't always be, you know, so in it that no one can deny you're doing amazing, but you can always do the work required to give a good show, and and beyond that, to give the message that you want to give, you know, or you know, that the playwright was, you know, you serve your purpose if you do the work, and that's what I think training does for a lot of people. It's why it's always beneficial. So how do you feel now, in, you know, where we are in 2020? How do you feel art is sort of changing? What is the modern day look of art compared to, because, you know, training classically, we get a lot of technique that comes from a lineage of acting techniques, and we look at plays that, you know, written a while back, you know, and considering what's happened to us within the last year alone, a lot has changed. How do you see creating art in this modern day? How is that changing?
I think it's changing so rapidly.
I think one of the biggest things is like, especially as actors,
it used to be such a culture of like,
okay, well, I proved myself, and then you a bunch of like, you know, like there's the starlets, and there's like all these people where it was like the select few of Hollywood, and then they get all these roles, and like it's just kind of like formulaic. Whereas like nowadays, I feel like it's very much like you create your industry, like it is like creating a business, like it's, and you figure out what works for you. Like, are you gonna like, because you could start doing TikToks right now, like in your living room, and like that could be a form of self-expression. Or you could be like, okay, I'm gonna write a script, or okay, like, do I go to improv shows? Do I just keep acting? Like, do I audition every single day? Is that like my rule? Like, you have to figure out, like, because there's so many avenues, and there's like, we all have these more amplified voices nowadays, that it's like, okay, you can do what you want to do. It's just there's certain avenues that like you have to allow yourself to take, I feel like. And
I think like especially if like
coronavirus right now, like it's like,
okay,
okay,
now we all are having like this moment
where it's like we we're with ourselves, and like
we have to be the vessel for
our own art.
Yeah,
always. And so it's like,
right, because the thing always used to be, you know, it's who you know. That's the biggest thing with everything. It's who you know. Do you feel like it's now shifting away towards that, and it's putting the power back into the artist's hand?
I really do. I think it's like, and I think like that's not as communicated as it could be. Like, I don't think like it's like, that's not necessarily like known. Like, you know, like we still think that we need the yes. And so I feel like it's like a lot of the time it's like actually realizing like, okay, no way, I can
there's so many pieces, there's so many tools that
like I can, there's so many pieces, there's so many voice. And like it also then becomes like, okay, well, who's watching, who's listening, like how do I project this voice, like what's the best way to like do this myself or whatever. And obviously like working on projects, like that's such a different high, that's such a different voice, but I think it's just really
allowing ourselves
to explore and play and create all the time. and never stopping.
I agree. And so how has quarantine affected you in terms of your art?
I think I'm such a pusher. Like, I'm so go.
I think I'm such a pusher. Like, I'm so go that like, especially at first, it was like, okay, I can rest for a second. Like, I can sit down. Like, I don't need to push this hard. I feel like it was like a huge slap in the face of like, okay, like, take care of yourself, rest, like, take some time. And then now I've been able to be like, okay, so I don't need to do all of these things necessarily. Like, it's really, what do I want to be doing? And it's really funny because it's like I'm still doing the same things, but it's like what I want to be doing is like I get to explore and play a little bit more, and a little bit more of like being a kid again, which is really nice. And I think our tools are taken away a little bit. Like, we weren't able to like act with a partner like one-on-one quite again. But it's like, oh, I can, like, I've decided like, okay, I'm gonna write some more, and like, okay, like when I'm gonna have a project that I want to work on when I'm out of quarantine. Like, I'm gonna read scripts with people, and like the Actors Roundtable is like, I'm still reading lines of people, and I'm still analyzing the scripts, and I'm still doing all the things that I really love to do. And it's not necessarily a rehearsal process, but it is still like working with scripts, which is everything I want to do.
Would you mind telling us a bit about what you're working on right now?
Yeah, sure.
I'm working on a TV show that's basically about the effects the patriarchy has on women. And it's kind of deconstructing and like, how do we reclaim all of these things? Like, it's like, let's discuss all of the that's in the closet. Let's discuss all the things that like are uncomfortable to talk about. Which is hard to write. There's been quite a few moments where I didn't want to write the things that came up in my head, but I was like, this is something that like me or somebody else has experienced, and like, we don't talk about it, and I think we deserve that voice. And then taking that and not just letting it be like a bomb, but letting it be like, okay, how do we turn this into something that's something that we can like live with, or like something that we can claim, like something that like we can find solace in. Because I don't want to like just discuss all of these big topic issues and
like, I feel like there needs to be like healing there.
Like, I feel like there needs to be like healing there, and so it's like, how do we,
as people find healing
in this
how much do you find yourself writing, you know, of the topic and the question that you want to face, versus how much are you writing of stuff that you need to get out and you need to process through?
I think it's like
purely identical. Like, it's like, I mean, I think any art, like, it's like, when we're drawn to something, there's some reason why we're drawn to it. There's like there's therapy in art, and I think like that's what makes good art, is like, if I need to heal from this, me writing about it and like finding a way to heal through it will help somebody else. And like, if I can do that while also making it a good thing to watch, and like a good like entertaining show, and like making it light and making it comedic, but also going through all these things that like I don't necessarily want to deep dive into, or like any of those things. Like, it's like, I feel like that's like the cream of the crop for art for me, is like that line between healing, drama, all of that, and then like comedy and like entertainment.
And how much of that was a surprise that they would be so closely connected? You know, like, these are the issues that I'm seeing coming up, and that people are going through, and this is what I'm going through, and they're connected. How much of that was a surprise, or did you know going into it that like these things are tied very closely? I can feel that, and I know it, you know?
I went in pretty like, this is something that's like very tied to me, and like what I'm going through. I think like while I'm expanding it, like I really do want to open it up to like things that are like maybe something I haven't necessarily like I don't think I have like a whole tie to it. But walking in, I definitely knew it was like, okay, so this is something that I know has affected me in multiple ways. And like I'm gonna help myself heal through this. I'm gonna help myself come through all these conclusions and like allow it to be fun. And like allow myself to like say the things that I'm scared to say.
Yeah. And what are you calling this TV show, Madison?
Feminine fatalities.
I've been lucky enough to read it a few times with you on our writers roundtable and read through it. And what I love so much about it is that you do really well, which you know great writers do. They hit the line of I'm saying something that's honest. I'm tackling a subject here that's universal, and I'm also making it very relatable, you know, and funny at the same time too. You know, you're not giving up on the comedy aspect of it, even though it's quite painful, I'm sure, to go through that and to look at some of the layers of how you've been treated by society and what's expected of you within society and the way that you live and sort of those injustices, and you tackle them and you do that really well, and we feel it for your lead character. But then at the same time, there's a lot of comedy to it, and I really appreciate when writers are able to do that line, because you know comedy is tragedy, but a lot of the time it sits on one. It's someone trying to be funny, or it's someone really diving into the tragedy, and it doesn't sort of match well enough. But you, I think, with this script are really hitting that line between the two. I've enjoyed reading it when I heard it for the first time, and then when I got to actually participate in it in the last time. I've really enjoyed that script. And moving on to the Writers Roundtable, how has this weekly sort of meet up with other writers and actors helped you? How's that been going?
I've been loving it because I feel like finding inspiration yourself is so hard sometimes, and so to like listen to artists' voices and to like hear scripts that are like really like they're fresh and like you know who's creating it, and like they're really good, they're really polished, and like aspirational, you know. And so like hearing all these aspirational voices and hearing all of these like this community, like an artistic community, I think is like the food for life. You know, it's like I get so lost if I don't have an artistic community, and it's been so nice to have this group that like I feel like we definitely are like so like kind to each other and like constructive and excited and hungry, and it's been I'm very grateful to it.
Yeah, me too. I feel you on that. I think that, you know, just being able to meet up with a group of people that, one, you know, you start to, even if it's a group of complete strangers, which some of us were strangers to each other at the start and some of us knew each other really well. But, you know, even when it is a group of strangers, you get to learn each other and you get to learn what makes the other person tick. And therefore, when they give you their opinion, you know, again, like you said at the start, it's about taking the ego out of it, because once you get to understand that this is what that person's craving from something, you can start to learn how to feed someone that, you know, isn't included in just who you've just been feeding at the time, or rather, you know, you can start to develop certain aspects of your script that will touch multiple people who may be missing on certain sides. And like you said, I think it's nice to have a group that are kind to each other, but at the same time very constructive. We're all aiming to get the best out of each other, and having that collaborative space, having people to actually, you know, sit down, read with, and work through stuff makes a whole lot of difference than just sitting and writing. Because you go away, I mean, you know, tell me if you disagree, but I go away every time and I'm like, okay, I'm excited. I'm excited to keep writing. I'm excited to keep diving into this, and I have ideas that I didn't have before, and it makes things open up. And I think there's a there's maybe a fear of, there's probably a massive fear of rejection, you know, that we're worried people won't like the script, but there's also a fear that we're sort of like giving something away if we include people in it. But I really haven't found that with the group. I found, if anything, I'm just learning more about myself because I'm able to get an outside view.
Yeah, honestly, it's been like so refreshing because it's like, this is, I mean, I do know like half the people, which also has been like really great, but then it's like this group of people all across the world, really, like we kind of like stumbled into this, and like that's so fascinating to have like all of these different avenues and all these different perspectives and all these different voices. And then like also like it's been like really nice because like Evan, whose birthday it is today, happy birthday, Evan. But he's been sharing scripts with me since like we started at AOA. It was like 4 years ago. And like he just shared a script today, and like not today, like a week ago, and I was like, wow, like this is like, it was so exciting because it was like I can see like how much you've changed and grown, and like this is such a like tight script, and it's like exciting and riveting and good, and it was like so cool to be like
the evolution of Evan.
Yeah. And like to be so excited for your thing, like, you know, like I just think it's like it's crazy how activated you can get from like miles and miles away.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like
it's really cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I agree. It's nice, and that's also, you know, a good thing about having a group of writers and having weekly meets is that we also get to see how those scripts develop and grow so much too. You know, you get to share what you think, and then you get to see how that person sort of takes that information, goes away, and then strengthens up. And I think, like I said, I think maybe there's a fear when collaborating on things like scripts that you're sort of, you know, giving something away, but I haven't felt that at all. I think I'd recommend anyone to share your work with people you want to share it with, take that feedback, and honestly, I think any script writing course you take, if it's worth its salt, they will tell you, share your work, you know, get people's views, and appreciate the fact that when you write something, you might have to change that whole thing before it's right. And that doesn't mean that it's no longer your story, or it doesn't mean that you're not a good writer. It's just that is the writing process. The writing process is starting with an idea, getting it down, and then refining.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the group too, and it's such a pleasure to have you in the group too, Madison. I'm really glad when you're turning up and the work you bring. Like I say, it's nice to have your perspective. It's nice to sort of get that energy that you bring, that unique Madison energy. It's always welcome. All right, so we're gonna wrap up with one final question. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. Okay. In an ideal world, I'd have Professor X's powers because he kind of has like limitless powers. You know, like he has like anything involving the brain powers. Like you could like levitate if you wanted
you're like,
to.
You're like, I'll take the power that gives me all the powers, please.
Yeah, basically is what I'm saying. Is because like, I mean, he can like mind control. So like, if other people have superpowers, he could like use them if he was like not a down dude, but like, you know, like that's kind of my go-to answer because it's like he can do it all.
Yeah, it's like what if there's a genie, what would you wish for? More wishes.
Yeah, okay. Good. Okay. Sorry.
Leave sky's the limit.
If I can't do that, I'd do invisibility.
Invisibility? Probably. Yeah, it's an interesting one, invisibility. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always thought that would have been mine.
Yeah, there's like this one thing, I don't remember where I saw it. I think I was like watching a movie, and this guy was like, have you ever realized that like Oh yeah, it was in Before Sunset or something. But he was like, have you ever realized that like you've never been in a room that you've not been in? You've never been in a conversation where you weren't one of the people talking. You've never like we get so upset with ourselves and so depressed because like you're always you're always with yourself. It's like invisibility if you're not interesting. You're in a room where you're not.
No, it's so true because perception really is reality, right? Like, you know, what you perceive and what you think is going on is really shaping what's around you. That's what you're seeing, what you're believing in. That's what your mind's telling you. So that is your reality. Whereas having invisibility will now start to give you a perception that you would never have before, which can shape a new reality. You know, if you realize that actually when you leave that room, people don't continue talking about you, you won't go home thinking, what are they saying about me now? And live in that reality and start thinking all these things that, you know, just are not true. It's true. It's an interesting one. I've always been tied up between being invisible so I can do that, or flying so I can just escape it all.
And like to know what it's like to fly, like, bro.
I fly California for brunch and then come straight back to England for my tea.
And like the wanting to be two places in once, like evaporates with that. Like that's so cool.
Well, yeah, Madison, it's been a pleasure speaking to you as always. And like I say, I'm so thankful that you're in our Writers Roundtable and that we're doing this thing together. Because, like I say, that energy you bring and that point of view that you have, you know, it's always beneficial to hear the thoughts that you have on it. And I'm so excited for your TV show to finalize, because I really do think that people are going to gain a lot from it, and on top of that, just be entertained, which is what script writing should be all about. You know, we shouldn't sacrifice the entertainment just for the message, and we should in no way sacrifice the message just for the entertainment. And you are right there hitting both on the mark. So I really appreciate you, Madison.
So good talking to you.
Thank you.
Appreciate all of this.
It's so good talking to you.
All
I
right.
appreciate all
Just
of
sign
this.
off. Love, Madison. I'll see you on Thursday for the next Writers Roundtable.
All right.
All right.
Enjoy
See
the
you
rest
on
of your day.
Thursday.
Awesome, Madison.
Thank you. All right.
Cool.
I'll
So
see you later.